Hello, Anne. How are you?
Hello, Armin. I'm fine, and what a pleasure to be with you today.
Yeah, thank you. It's great having you, and thank you for saying yes to our invitation to our viewers in Germany. We will do the interview in English, obviously, um, probably translated later. Yeah, so um, welcome to the Online Forgiveness Conference, Anne. And I would very much love to know what your take is on forgiveness. But before we get into the topic, I would like to hear a little bit about you.
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
I'm someone who works with a method called focusing. And focusing has been developed by many people, but it was originated by Eugene Gendlin out of research into successful psychotherapy that he did along with Carl Rogers in the 50s. What they discovered was that people who are changing successfully using psychotherapy or other methods as well tend to have an unclear bodily sense that they can feel right now. And they tend to be willing to pause and wait a while, allowing something that they feel to be unclear and not yet in words, and then taking the time to put it into words. So this insight or this discovery based on research led to a method called focusing, which is meant to teach and guide us in that pausing and sensing. It really is a natural human process. Surely people through all centuries and all ages, some people anyway, have been able to pause and get the body sense of creative projects and decisions and what's bothering us, what's troubling us, and also what feels good and what leads us forward. And yet it seems so many of us have lost that ability, or it's been trained out of us, or our modern culture and its emphasis on paying attention to what other people tell you to do has caused us to lose contact with a kind of inner knowing or inner compass. So it's been my life's work to help people find again their sense of an inner compass. And along with that, a lot of the work has to do with releasing us from our emotion wars. And I call it an emotion war when we're at so much of a struggle to try to feel or not feel certain emotions. And I believe the emotion wars go all the way back to childhood, when for many of us, certain emotions were not safe to feel or to show in our families. And some kids are told, don't be sad. And others are told, don't be angry. And even if these messages are not explicit, they're implicit
Yeah.
by what you're allowed to feel and what you're allowed to show. And then we internalize those limits on ourselves. And I'm going to talk more about the emotion wars when we get into forgiveness specifically.
Wonderful. So, what I understand is that you actually use the body as kind of like an emotional feedback mechanism or instrument, actually. So, you can find out about yourself using the method of really being aware and like the method says, focusing on what's going on in your body, and also being willing to, like, I think Gendlin said that once, to be willing to live with the question for a while and not like having to have an answer right away.
Rilke said it as well, right? We live the questions. If we don't know the answers, we live the questions like locked boxes, and someday we may live into the answer.
Live into the answer.
Uh,
That's beautiful.
One of my favorite quotes from him.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yes, you summarized the approach of focusing very well. It turns out that present body feeling is the most reliable way to change our lives.
Oh my
And
God,
what most of us try to do, which is try to think our way or analyze our way or suppress. And it turns out that feeling what we feel right now.
I just want to stress, really, this is so awesome. I just want to stress how powerful this one statement is, because it's simple and it's applicable. I mean, of course, you may want to go through a process of learning, this method, but in the end, at the end of the day, it's like really simple. You can do it. Everyone can do it because it's inherent in our nature. So it's open basically to everyone who wants.
Exactly. And there's no ideology. There's nothing you have to believe. There's nothing you have to sign on to. Just drop awareness down into your body and notice how it is right now. And then, of course, there are the obstacles. And that's what I mean by emotion wars. Because many people, as they begin to feel their body, they are confronted with experiences of overwhelm or the anxiety of parts of ourselves that are trying to keep us safe and believe that having those feelings will get us in trouble. So we need a little bit of a further methodology for what to do about those parts of us that are afraid. But the truth is, it is very simple. Yes.
In principle, it is very simple.
In principle. Yeah. Right. Yes.
Yeah, and what I gather from your book, you got to know Gendlin, I guess it was in Chicago, right? Because Rogers was in Chicago too.
Well, Gendlin was in Chicago. That's where he met Carl Rogers and studied with him and then became his colleague and got his degree in philosophy at the University of Chicago and simply remained there as a professor in the philosophy department, not the psychology department.
Interesting.
So interesting, I know. I then met Gendlin when I was there getting a degree in linguistics. So neither Gendlin nor I are psychologists.
Who cares?
I know, exactly, really. I know. And I did meet Jean in 1972, so that was 45 years ago now. And it certainly changed my life and my friendship and working relationship with him for the next 45 years. We lost him earlier this year, about 6 months ago.
This year? Oh my God. Oh.
Yeah. He died at age 90. And was certainly a great treasure his whole life.
And for all the viewers from Austria, he was originally from Vienna.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Just for the record.
He was born in Austria in 1927, and his Jewish family needed to leave Austria and successfully did so when he was 11. Yeah. So,
So what I'm really very, very interested and very excited about talking to you is this process of, like you said, ending this emotional war. And what I think is really compatible what we're doing here in this conference is, because forgiveness is supposed to be a method of ending those internal emotional wars with, oh, you did that to me and you bastard did this to me and blah, blah, blah. So that's why I contacted you, because I think focusing is just like the perfect method of ending those internal wars. So, tell us a little bit, please, if you wish.
Well, I agree with you. Yes, we have the same ultimate goal, right? That the emotion wars keep us stuck and that we long to end them, because I think people feel that these feelings of bitterness and anger and resentment and holding on to old hurts, that these hold us back from moving forward, and they may also be in the way of some of our some of the relationships that have the potential to bring us great rewards, like relationships with our families, our original families, perhaps our parents and brothers and sisters. And I work with many people who find themselves continuing to suffer from old hurts carried from these original relationships. And we know at some level that we shouldn't have to suffer from these things. We wish we could let them go. And the trouble is that it, in most cases, just doesn't work to declare, I forgive you, I am letting go of my hurts about you. Just, wouldn't it be nice if that would work? But the sad thing is that we maybe get the idea from somewhere that I should forgive these people.
Oh, yeah.
And then when it doesn't work, we blame ourselves. That I not only have these resentments, but I'm also unable to release them. And that's...
So you made it even worse in the end.
You've just made yourself suffer even more by blaming yourself for not being able to forgive. But I think that forgiveness is not something that can be done by an act of will. I declare I forgive you, but it's a healing process that can take place inside of us. And what I would like to suggest is that we find ourselves turning toward those parts of us that are finding it hard to forgive. Now, I have developed some language that people have found very helpful in relief and release from old emotional states. And that language is called presence language. It's language that helps you be present. And there are two phrases. One is, I am sensing. Auf Deutsch vielleicht ich merke oder ich merke, ich spüre, okay. And then something in me, etwas in mir. Mm-hmm. So we say...
Oh, can we continue in German?
Nein, nein, leider.
Oh, just joking. I didn't know you knew German.
Yeah. I have taught in Germany often, and because I'm so interested in this special language, I certainly try in every country I teach in to find the words that work in that language. So
good.
Yeah. So I'm sensitive, but I'll continue in English because
yes,
so as not to confuse things. So I resent my mother. I am sensing something in me resents my mother. I can't forget what my brother did. I am sensing something in me that can't forget what my brother did. And I just inviting people to try that out with whatever sentence expresses the state that needs forgiveness. Mm-hmm. I am sensing something in me. And we can feel very likely there's a calming, there's a relaxing. We're not trying to change our feelings. We're not pushing them away. We're not diminishing them. But what we are doing is turning toward them. And so that in me that has feelings of resentment, let's say toward one's mother, I can turn toward that part of me that feels that way. And I can invite it to let me know more about that. Now, I am no longer the one who has resentment. Now I am the one who is interested, who is the listener to the part that has resentment. Amazingly, listening is one of the most powerful processes of change in the world. If you can listen, be aware of, and empathically respond to a person or to a part of yourself, change becomes available. And when we do the opposite, when we argue or say it should be different, we push, then change becomes much less possible.
Very interesting. Yeah.
It may seem like certain feelings are stuck, that they will never change because they never have. But what we usually find is that they're stuck because they haven't had anyone to speak to. And that listener is you. The best listener to your old feelings is you. And those feelings are held by what we could call inner children. Right? Whenever these things originally happened, these hurts that still stay within us as something hard to forgive, whatever age you were when those things happened, that in you is still that age. It is unable to move on from that age until it has this inner relationship of being heard inside you. And I call my work, my own work, inner relationship focusing. The innere Beziehung. And the relationship of listening is what brings change even to places that don't feel that they were able to change.
And what interests me now is how do they speak to you, and how do you best listen?
Well, they may speak to you first in body sensation. So this is part of our understanding that it's through body sensation that change happens most easily. So I might say, I'm sensing something in me is feeling resentful or angry at my mother. Now I pause and I allow the feel of that something to come in my body. And then I become aware perhaps of a tightness in my throat, heaviness in my chest, clenching in my stomach, whatever it is. I describe that. And I sit with it with interested curiosity. I'm open to what it wants to tell me or show me about what makes it so resentful. It might want to play a memory for me of the incident, the key incident, or the many instances of what happened. And I will bear witness. I will say, I see that. Yes, I really see what happened there. Or it might show me other images. Or it might give me emotional moods. And I am a witness. I say to this part of me, I see what you're showing me. I hear what you're saying to me. I feel what feelings you are giving me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't say, but.
Right.
So the temptation is to say, but I'm older now, or but I want to let go of those feelings. But when we do that, we interrupt the process of change. When we say, but to ourselves, we no longer are allowing the change process to occur. So it's a very simple, I hear you, tell me more. I hear you, show me more.
So actually the intent of managing the change kind of like corrupts it at the same time.
The change is happening. This is
exactly. And that's so far from our understanding, from our conditioning that, oh, change happens. So no, I have to do something. No, I just listen.
It's the opposite of that.
Yes.
It's the opposite of that.
Yeah.
And so this is really, it's both tragic and hopeful, right? It's tragic because I see so many people trying to change themselves, which is like trying to move a rug that you're standing on. The very thing you're doing is preventing the thing you want. Wow. And it's hopeful. And it's hopeful because as we become aware that trying to change ourselves by talking ourselves into change, by arguing with our feelings, when we realize that that's not what works, but there's something else that does work, it's very hopeful.
Oh yeah, that and it gives you a huge amount of hope.
And it's okay to want things to change. I'm not saying don't want change. I'm just saying The change comes when we sit back and bring attention to how it is now. We'll find that the change emerges. It bubbles up like from some water, spring of water in the springtime.
Yeah.
The change emerges.
Wonderful. I have a small distraction right now, Anne.
All right. Shall we take a little break?
Yeah, because your microphone keeps touching your scarf.
Oh, all right.
And that gives kind of like...
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There you go.
Wonderful. But I'm loving it. I'm not right now. Our
Are we
conversation.
okay?
Oh, totally.
Okay, good.
Totally.
All right, good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So the change, that's kind of like a paradox, isn't it? I want change, but it's different from what I thought how it could work. And I just should like more trust and kind of like it feels like going back one step and more into a observing passive. I'm not sure about passive, but really observing kind of mode.
There's a beautiful quote by Carl Rogers who said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself as I am, then I can change."
Yeah.
So he too called it a paradox.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the same as giving up. It's not the same as, I'll just go watch TV. I won't try to change. I'll just go watch TV. It's not the same as escaping. Yeah, we are attending to ourselves. We are doing something. I think that you were quite correct in saying that the word passive doesn't really apply. We are doing something. Yes. We are with great intention bringing awareness to this place where there is something in us that having a hard time forgiving or letting go, and being very intentionally being the listener to it, creating a relationship with it. I think this is very unusual. It's new for many people who I work with. People are often used to thinking of their emotions almost like objects inside that we can talk about, like there's my fear or there's my anxiety, but we never thought of having a relationship with them, like saying, "Oh, hello, I know you're there. Can I sit down with you and get to know you better?" That's revolutionary, you might say.
Yes.
Yes.
And let's face it, I mean, those emotions, they just stayed there the way they did or have been doing for decades, is just because we didn't talk to them. We didn't listen, not so much talk, but listen to them.
Perfect.
In order to show us that something has been going on that was obviously not okay, that made you feel not okay.
That's right. I keep thinking of great quotes. Gendlin wrote, "Every bad feeling is potential energy for a more right way of being." In other words, we don't feel difficult emotions for no reason. As you just said, we feel them because there was something that our bodies knew wasn't right. And sometimes what we need to forgive someone for is, well, very often something that really was wrong. And I want to use the word wrong without moralism, without
making someone wrong.
I don't want to, I'm not coming from some kind of moral perspective, but the body life process has a fundamental knowing of what's right in the organismic sense, right? If you breathe in, you inhale, your body knows that exhaling will come next. And when we're born, our bodies know that it would be right to be held securely, to be gazed at with love and delight, to be fed. The body knows that would be right. And often those things don't happen. And we carry the sense of wrongness. And how wonderful it is to say to that little inner child in us. Yes, what happened to you was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That was wrong. Not that person was bad or wrong,
Or
but
guilty.
what happened to you was wrong. What
Yes.
happened to you should not have happened. And your body knew it all the way back then. Yeah.
That's just a wonderful compass, because then it tells you something about, well, yeah, it wasn't right. It hurt, and it shouldn't
Yes.
have happened. But
Yes.
since it did, I can again relate back to my body and listen to it closely, focus on
Yes.
what's going on there.
Yes.
And then, as I gather from reading your book and Gentlin's book several times, is that within the process of focusing, you not only listen, but you also start giving it words, describing what's going on in your body,
Yeah.
which will lead to and you might want to complete that sentence.
Well, we can say it leads to a shift.
Yes, a shift.
That's right.
That's what we're
Yeah.
looking for. A
Yeah.
real experiential, real-time shift in not only your body, but in your whole system, in your whole
Yes.
psyche, and
Yes.
basically in your life.
Yes. You know, in working with forgiveness, we want to be compassionate to those places inside us that are carrying the hurts from long ago. And as you've just been saying, as we've just been saying, to validate them. Yes, something happened that really wasn't right. It was really wrong. It's not what should have happened. And then there are the other parts of us that have felt the need to blame. And they blame others, and they also blame ourselves. And we can also be compassionate to those parts of us. Because there's been an attempt to make sure that that terrible thing never happened again.
Oh, yeah.
That is so understandable. Like, who can I blame so that this terrible thing never happens again? That stays stuck. And I think that's part of what we see when we see the need for forgiveness, is we understand that blaming helps nothing. And yet the compassion, when we turn toward those parts of us that are blaming someone, other people or ourselves, the compassion is, oh, you, the blaming part, you've been trying to make sure that this bad thing never happens again. I really, really understand that.
Yeah, so that was a relevant function inside your psyche. And you had to kind of like defend against the hurt because you didn't bear to
Yes.
again.
And we can say that although it might not have been ideal, it was the best we could do at the time. And it helped us survive until now.
Exactly. Yeah. The only problem is if you do it now, you put yourself in a different emotional state that quite likely won't be adequate for the present situation.
Well, and also the pain, the painful, the trauma, right? The wound, the hurt has not been released through the process of blaming. That's why we are seeking something like forgiveness, because we can tell that although the blaming attempted to keep us safe and not to have the bad thing happen again, it has also kept us stuck. There wasn't a true relief from blaming. So we know that that's true. And I'm wanting to tell the listeners to the conference today that there is true release possible. And that true release is possible through an inner relationship with the original hurt, which is still inside, that does not have to lead to blaming anyone. When we blame, we're actually not in contact with the original hurt. We're displacing our attention away from the original hurt. And you can understand that if it was too hard at the time because we were too little and we didn't have the support in our environment, it would have been too hard to be with that original hurt. But now we have the resources to do that. And so what the blaming tried to do was to keep us safe without having us be in touch with the original hurt. Now we don't need that. We can just come into contact, gather lots of grounding, gather our resources, feel strong today, and then come into contact with the hurt place inside and directly let it show us what hurts so much about that.
Mm-hmm. And then something completely new opens, because
oh yes,
that let's call it energy, like maybe life energy that was stuck in that pattern or in that emotion, that's released now, and you set it free, and you can use
yes,
it for so much else. It's like
so much is
free,
available
like
now.
bound potential, actually.
Oh yeah, so much is available now. Yes, when this shifts. Well, we're going to talk about the problems with forgiveness, right?
Oh yeah, please.
My worry
Your
about
yes.
this process. And then we're going to go on and talk about the hardest person to forgive.
Wonderful.
Okay.
So I can't wait.
My worry about the forgiveness process is that when used unawarely, it can be another way of staying stuck in emotion wars.
Cheers. Prost.
Prost. So that tendency, that impulse to not feel the pain itself, which we do forgive, which we do have compassion for, and yes, forgive. But if I'm still like unawarely trying to not feel my own pain, I may use the forgiveness process as a way of skipping the necessary process, the needed process. So I just have to forgive. I just need to forgive. I just need to let go of all this. And it's not that it isn't a good idea to forgive. It's that the way that's being used is being used by a part of us to skip past the needed contact with the hurt itself.
So we could say it's a mental process instead of an emotional process, like an experiential process.
Yeah.
And it's also basically used as a psychological defense mechanism. Basically.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't want to get too close to those feelings.
Right.
And that's exactly the way how they're going to be maintained.
It keeps everything stuck, sadly. And so a beautiful process like forgiveness is now being used by a part of us to do exactly what will not lead to true forgiveness. It will just lead to us going in circles inside. I should, I can't, I should, I can't.
And furthermore, we feel bad about ourselves even more because it doesn't work. And then we blame ourselves for not being able to forgive, which makes us at least bad Christians, or probably even a bad person, right? And so suffering not only continues, it gets even worse.
That's right. We humans have so many great ways to torment ourselves.
We probably love suffering. I don't know.
Yeah. But, Gene Gendlin, my beloved mentor, has a wonderful phrase. He says, the change process should feel good.
Yeah.
If it doesn't feel good, do it another way. The forgiveness process should feel good. When you really are forgiving, you'll feel relief in your body. If it doesn't feel like relief, look again. Yeah. And I just want to clarify that when I say there's a suffering or a hurting place inside, and we don't want to skip being with that, and people may hear that that I'm saying, just go inside and fall into your bad feeling and feel it as bad as it is again and again. And so I'm actually saying we get to feel our strong self, grounded, aware, and large. I have the phrase self in presence to mean who I am as my large, calm, compassionate self. It's from that place that I can turn toward these hurt places inside me. So it's not that I'm going to deliberately
go
little.
back into the story.
I'm not going back in the story. I'm not becoming young again. I'm not re-experiencing what felt so bad. Instead, from this position of the compassionate one, I'm allowing that hurting place to show me what felt so bad. And that's the healing process. Mm-hmm. It's really, really beautiful.
Wonderful. Yeah.
So, the hardest person to forgive?
Who would that be?
I think we all know.
I think so too.
I think we all know. The hardest person to forgive, of course, is ourselves. I've done a lot of work with the emotion of regret. I think regret is another way to talk about I cannot forgive myself for something that I did. And I know many people, and myself as well, have been especially tormented by regrets. Many of them are often connected to the death of someone, so that we're now in a situation that we cannot change. I didn't say, I didn't do, I didn't finish, and now it's too late. And I remember at my sister, she died of cancer when she was 44, and I know she wanted me to be with her when she was dying, and I wanted to, and I told her I would. But then I sort of made a mistake. I thought I had enough time to go do something else and then come back to her deathbed, and I didn't. Mm. And I felt really bad about this for many, many years. And then I realized, there is a question I can ask myself that helps me a lot. So I offer this to the listeners today. And the question is, what resource would I have needed at that time in order to make a different choice? What resource would I have needed then? Or what resources would I have needed then in order to behave or act differently? Mm-hmm. And when I asked myself that question, I realized, yes, I was missing some resources. I was missing both within me and outside of me. Would have, if someone outside of me had said to me, let's think about this. Do you really have time? Or if something inside me had allowed me to pause and just really ask myself, is this the right thing right now? When I hold it in that way, what resource was I missing then? I no longer blame myself for not having the resource then. I understand I didn't have it. And I'm also no longer frightened that I will make the same mistake again.
Oh, beautiful. Oh my God. Yeah, that's even better.
And I think so often it's a frightened part of us. It's a part of us that's worried that we're somehow flawed and damaged, and we're going to ruin our lives again and again as we ruin. Well, it likes to use strong language, like you ruined your life, but in so many ways, life is not ruined. Actually, it's frightened that we are somehow a flawed, damaged person who will make this mistake again and again. So if I ask myself, what resource did I need then? I don't even have to remind myself that I have those resources now. Even the asking of the question shows that I am now in a different state than I was.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And that in itself is a self-forgiveness process.
There you go. I offer that. Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can you tell us, maybe in a nutshell, how the process of focusing works? And how do you do it? There is resources to really get into the topic, of course.
Including my book in German, which is called Der Stimme des Körpers folgen. Yes.
Yeah, it's somewhere.
You have it there?
Yeah,
somewhere
sure.
in your room,
As
right?
I said, I've read it 3 times.
Yeah.
It's worthwhile. Die Stimme des Körpers hören.
Yeah.
In English, I think it's the power of focusing.
Well, the power of focusing, a practical guide to emotional self-healing. And I've 3 other books. In fact, the second book, Radical Acceptance of Everything, also has a really great German translation, translated as Die Kunst. Is it Die Kunst des Annehmens?
Die Kunst des Annehmens.
Yeah, very good translation. So,
by the way, I'm already in contact with the translator of that very book.
Great. Arno Katz. Yes.
Yes. And I'm going to have an
Lovely.
interview with him too.
Wonderful. Very nice. Oh, that's super. Very nice. Ganz toll. All right. So you're asking me, what is the process of focusing?
Yes.
How do you do it? Okay. In a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
Yeah. Well, there are many ways. So let's speak about a way that might be especially appropriate for someone who's suffering from a painful emotion, something painful that seems to be hanging on from the past. You would start by bringing awareness to your body, becoming aware of your whole body here and now. In most cases, you would be sitting. And so you would bring awareness to the contact of your body on what you're sitting on. Feeling your feet, feeling your bottom of your legs and your buttocks and your back. And yes, as I see you doing now, Armin, you would let your eyes close, usually. You would feel your breathing. And allow your awareness to come inward. So you're also sensing the inner area of your body that includes your throat and your chest and your stomach and belly. And invite something in you that has that emotion or has that painful feeling, or perhaps we're inviting something in you that has a hard time with this whole incident or issue, the thing that's hard to forgive. And you invite and wait in the inner area of your body, throat, chest, stomach, belly, because this is a slower process than the process of the mind. The mind can answer instantly, but the body takes some time. And maybe you could let me know when you become aware of something.
Yeah, now that we're talking about it, I feel a pain here in my heart area.
Ah, yes.
Like it's tightening.
Yes. And I'll say back to you the words you used so that you can take the words back to the feeling and really sense if they fit well. Like pain in the heart, like tightening.
Yeah, it is a tightening, and it also spreads around here now. So it's kind of like
Yes.
it seems as if it were surrounding my physical heart.
Ah. So what often happens is that as we describe what we feel and then we say the words back to it, there is more that's there. And that's what's happening now. I'm going to say back to you these words that just came. It's spreading. You're sensing that it's spreading, almost like it's surrounding your physical heart.
Yeah, thank you. It's really as if it feels as if someone had a grip on it.
Okay. You're sensing it feels as if someone had a grip on it. And see if that's okay to stay with for a while, to just be with that as it is.
And now, interestingly, as you said before, there came an image,
Mm-hmm.
which is not really a memory, but it's like kind of like a metaphor of the situation. It's like my mom holding, having a grip on my heart.
Ah, yeah.
I
Ah,
saw my mother holding it.
yeah. It's as if this place is showing you your mom holding your heart in this kind of grip.
Yes,
And so,
imposing
yeah.
her story on me.
Oh, yeah. It's that your mom was imposing her story on you. And then you could say to this part of you that shows you this grip, you could say to it, ah, I see what you're showing me. I get how that was for you. And check if that one feels you've understood it more. Or maybe there's more it wants to show you.
Um, no, it's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah, it's just saying that, like, I understand
Yeah,
what you've been feeling.
yeah.
Uh, right away, it was gone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe there's a more enjoyable feeling there now in your body.
Oh, it is. Feels much lighter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I can't exactly put my finger on it, but it's like something's different.
Uh-huh. So let's take time to just receive and enjoy this
Oh,
lighter.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Savor, enjoy.
Mm.
Yeah. The lighter feeling.
Wow. And I'm so amazed because I don't know. I'm if you don't mind, I'm gonna open my eyes now.
I I would just suggest that you thank your body. That's the only
Oh,
thing we need. That's the only thing we need to do to complete
no,
this lovely focusing session. Yes, thank your body.
thank you. And thank you, Anne.
My pleasure.
In like no time, um, I learned something new about me.
Mm-hmm.
Or, well, I learned that something old can leave very quickly and
Yeah.
almost effortlessly,
Yeah.
which is
And
beautiful.
you probably already knew that your mother imposed her story on you.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And yet allowing your body to show that to you in a vivid metaphor, physically felt metaphor. It's like the picture that's worth 1,000 words, right? It has so much richness to it. It's like the whole thing is being shown, not just the concept of it. And that's what's being understood. So that's why it can release so quickly. And it doesn't always release quickly, but sometimes.
No, no,
Sometimes it
it's
takes longer.
yeah,
Yeah,
which is okay too.
it's okay too.
But as you said, if the process is fun, why shouldn't we
Right.
repeat it? Because, well, actually, there is never repetition because it's always different
Always different, and yet there's
and
always
deeper.
more. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
And I had just like I don't know, almost like those gifs that are being shared in internet now. It's like my mom going, help me," and I'm like, "That's not my job." It's like now it's really funny actually, and
Yeah,
I can really laugh
yeah,
about it.
that's right.
It's not my
That's
job too.
not my job to help you. We've got things turned around here. I'm
Ex-
the kid, you're the mom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Oh my God, thank you. I mean, thank you so much. It was already for me really worth.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that you just went right into the process. You didn't just ask me an intellectual question, what is focusing and what happens? You took the opportunity to put yourself in that place. And that, I think, allowed us to show people so much more than if I had just been talking about it. So
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
wonderful.
Mm.
Ah, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
how can we, mm, you know and understand more about what you teach and what you do?
Right. We've talked about my books, which are several of which are available in German. Uh, and
Your
my
website, you call,
website is focusingresources.com. We also have resources on there that are in German. If you go to the free stuff and then articles, and there's sections for different languages, and there's a German section with translations there. And
I
that
will put.
also that has links to the books and how to find them.
Mhm.
Um,
There's also
I
German trainers, right?
German, many focusing is big in Germany, and so many people in Germany teach focusing. I am especially colleagues with Arno Katz, who you're going to be interviewing, and also with Elmar Kreuthoff. And every year, Elmar brings me to Hamburg, and I teach some topic related to focusing for a weekend in May this year, I think. So that's if you look at my website, it's not there yet, but within a few months we'll put up the Hamburg workshop for people to come see me.
Wonderful. Wow.
Mm, mm.
I
And then we should mention that I teach online courses, and if people feel comfortable in English, uh, then we actually have people in our courses from all over the world.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. And
Great.
they're live, right? They're like live.
We have live online courses that are taught at a time in California, which will be the evening in Europe. half the time. The other half the time, they're later in the day in California.
Mm-hmm.
And that they have a live teacher, so there's interaction, questions, there's interaction with the other participants. We also have on-demand courses that are not live, and people can just take them in their own time and their own pace. So lots of, we call it focusing resources, because there's lots of resources.
That is wonderful. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I have an email newsletter called the Weekly Tips. So I answer the questions people have.
Wow. Nice.
And
mm-hmm.
it's always nice. Yes. So
yeah.
I wish all the best to this conference. I understand the yearning for forgiveness and for emotion, for freedom from being locked into the states that we feel are holding us back. And I wish that all who are listening will find more forgiveness of yourself, first of all, and more freedom, more of a sense of your life moving forward into new possibilities.
And to end this conflict within ourselves and also in our relationships.
Yeah.
And well, ultimately, of course, in the world, which I hope.
I think that these things do have an impact on the world.
Oh, you can see that, maybe not in the news, but you can see that. There's a strong movement of inner change, and people really are willing to. I mean, where does the change take place? It's not there, you know. It's always in me, in myself, and that way I change the world. And the waves, let's call them, the ripple effect is very powerful, because
How could it not be? I mean, we often say in the self-help world, you cannot change another person, you can only change yourself. On the other hand, by changing yourself, you change all your relationships. How could they stay the same? And so that's exactly the effect of that, ripples outward. And yes, there are things going on in the world today that make me very angry and very, very, very sad. And my ability to accompany those emotions in myself clears my mind and my will so that I can take action when appropriate with others that can move to a new, to something new in how we treat each other.
yes,
So that's
exactly.
my hope. That's my hope.
Yes, so is mine. Anne, it's been such a pleasure, and really a wonderful experience too for me personally, on my path. And thank you so much. And I will put all the links in there so they don't have to, manage their way through your website, but in order to just click on it and have all the German material. And yes, thank you so much. And I hope we stay in touch. And,
Ja, ich auch.
maybe we'll see you in Hamburg in May.
Es freut mich. Ja, ein Vergnügen. Ja, so bis bald.
Bis bald.
Bis später.
Bis später. Bye bye. Danke.